Brandon Scott, Council President Mosby, Councilwoman Porter, County Executive Johnny Oshevsky, and Baltimore County Fire Chief Joanne Rund. Our brief this morning will be an update on the search and rescue operation that's ongoing at this point. So at approximately 0140 hours this morning, our 911 center dispatched a call to the Baltimore City Fire Department for a report of a water rescue in the Patapsco River in the area of the Key Bridge. As units were responding, they began to receive numerous calls indicating multiple people in the water. At some point during that chain of events of calls, we began to receive indications that a ship may have struck the Key Bridge. We got further information through multiple calls that the Key Bridge, portions of the Key Bridge had actually collapsed. At about 0150 hours, our first unit arrived on scene and reported a complete collapse of the Key Bridge. We were also given information at that time that there were likely multiple people on the bridge at the time of the collapse, and that as a result, multiple people were in the water. We were able to remove 2 people from the water. One individual refused service and refused transport. Essentially, that person was not injured. However, there was another individual that's been transported to a local trauma center that is in very serious condition. At this time, we have multiple air assets from the Maryland State Police, as well as the Baltimore Police Department, as well as multiple marine assets from around the region, including Baltimore City, Anne Arundel County, Baltimore County, as well as multiple local and state police agencies, National Resources Police, BPD Special Ops Unit is in here, Maryland State Police is here. We have multiple resources. We are still very much in an active search and rescue posture at this point, and we will continue to be for some time. We have a large area that we have to search. This includes on the surface of the water, subsurface, as well as on the deck of the ship itself. We believe at this point we may be looking for upwards of 7 individuals. That's the latest information we have. However, what I will say is the information that I'm giving you right now is as of right now. That's what we know right now. This is a very large incident. It involves a very large footprint. Multiple agencies are operating, therefore information is subject to change as we get more intel and as our crews work through the morning. Over the next 8 to 12 hours, you can expect to continue to see our air and maritime assets functioning out on the water and in the air above. We need to do damage assessment of the ship itself before we can board that ship. And we need to continue our subsurface search, which is including different types of sonar. We have side scan sonar. We have other sonar capabilities here. We have underwater UAVs that we're working with. And throughout the night, we've also been working with infrared technology, both from the air and on the water surface. So I'm going to wrap up here with just saying this continues to be a search and rescue operation. It continues to be a very dynamic operation with multiple local, state, and federal resources involved. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our Mayor Brandon Scott.
Thank you, Chief. Everyone, this is a unthinkable tragedy. We have to first and foremost pray for all of those who are impacted, those families. Pray for our first responders and thank them, all of them working together, city, state, local, to make sure that we are working through this tragedy. This is an ongoing active research that we're having right now. We're going to continue, as you heard from Chief Wallace, throughout. As long as we have to be doing that, we will do it. But we have to be thinking about the families and people impacted, folks who we have to try to find and save. This is what our focus should be on right now. We're going to continue to work in partnership with every part of government to do everything that we can to get us through the other side of this tragedy. And with that, I'll turn it over to County Executive Olszewski.
Thank you, Mayor Scott. I think we all awoke this morning to an unspeakable tragedy. As the mayor indicated, we know that there will be families and individuals impacted by this, regardless of what happens the rest of the way out. So I would just echo the mayor in lifting up prayers for those who are impacted, but also ask that our residents pray for our first responders. They have been on scene since very early in the morning, not only conducting initial search and rescue operations, but planning for additional ones as the sun comes up. And the work that they do cannot be understated. And I want to just thank them for all that they are doing and will do in the hours and days ahead. We know that we have a long road ahead, not just in the search and rescue, but in the fallout following this. I think we appropriately have our attention on the search and rescue efforts currently, and just here alongside our partners in the city to say that they have our full support, just as we want to thank our state partners for the resources they've offered up, as well as the federal partners who have already reached out. The mayor and I have talked to the governor. We've heard from the Secretary of Transportation. So collectively, we thank everyone for their thoughts, their well wishes. But again, this is a very active situation, and we want to just thank the chief and our teams for all the great work they're doing. And with that, I'll turn things back over to the chief.
Thank you, County Executive Olszewski. We'll do some Q&A right now. Now we're just going to go around, have everyone present one question.
Chief, can you tell us where the crew of the ship is? You also mentioned, too, that 2 people were rescued. Who made the first 911 call? And there were reports that it was a crew on the deck of the ship working at that point. Can you confirm any of that information?
The latest information we have on the crew of the ship is that they are still on board the ship. There's been comms between the ship crew and the Coast Guard. So as part of the overall operation, we communicate through the Coast Guard with the ship. And I'm sorry, your other questions?
There were 2 people taken. Who made the first 911 call?
I don't know who made that call yet.
Okay, and were there other workers on the deck of the ship or deck of the bridge at this point? We had heard that information. Can you confirm that?
We were being told there were workers on the bridge. We have yet to confirm that. We'll work with MDTA to obviously to get that information.
About how many cars were on that ship? Last question. On the deck of the bridge at the time it collapsed. You
don't have a number. I can tell you our sonar has detected the presence of vehicles submerged in the water. I don't have a count of that yet.
Thank you.
Next. Chief, you mentioned upwards of 7 individuals that you're looking for. We've heard reports of as many as 20 individuals. Can you just paint a more clear picture of about how many people actually fell into the water, how many people you might be looking to rescue, and also if you can give an idea of how many vehicles, although you might not have the answer, but really just the search and rescue mission?
Yeah, I'll start with the last one. So I don't know how many vehicles yet. I know that we have detected the presence of vehicles. As far as the number between the 7 and 20, that's been a dynamic count throughout the morning, just given the fact that we haven't yet nailed that number down. We do believe that at least 7 are involved in that, at least 7 at this point.
That fell into the water.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and I know you said the crew was accounted for according to the Coast Guard on deck. Do we know if any of the crew members were part of these at least 7 people that may have been in the water?
We do not.
Chief, can I just ask, survivability in waters around this temperature is not very long. At what point do you shift focus to become more of a salvage operation?
So we'll be guided by our dive teams. We will determine what the temperature of the water is. The other issue that we have out there is this water is current influenced. So right now we think the tide is coming back in. That adds a bit of a challenge to us also. We can certainly dive in these conditions, but we have to take a lot of factors into play, right? The fact that there may be trauma involved, they have been in the water an extended period of time, but also remember we're battling darkness. So, it's quite possible that we may have somebody there that we've not seen yet, and as they work closer to the debris field, they'll obviously make those determinations. But we're going to rely on the experts, which are our dive masters that are here, our dive team, to tell us when they believe we've reached that non-survivability point.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Janine?
Chief Wallace, was there any indication that there was a problem on the ship? Was it led in by tugboats at any point? Was there any mayday? Like anything that can, so far early on, point you to something went wrong?
We do not have that information with regard to the investigation. I would refer that to law enforcement. My focus since 1:40 this morning has been that rescue operation.
So far there's been no indication that any kind of like an emergency dispatch came from that ship beforehand?
I have no information about that, ma'am.
Have you been able to talk to the pilot, the American pilot on that bridge?
The pilot on the vessel?
Yeah.
We have not talked to the pilot on the vessel. The rescue personnel, the rescue operation, we have not interacted.
Just back over here.
Can you tell us about the victims that were caught in the water? Man, woman.
I don't have age and
Update on condition, sorry, again.
I'm sorry.
Update on the condition as well.
Yeah, I don't have age and gender on either. One patient refused service, right? Really, they weren't injured. The second patient, however, was seriously injured and is at an area trauma center.
Are you including them in the at least seven people?
We don't know yet if they're part of that 7.
Okay.
The patient is injured severely enough that we've not been able to debrief that patient.
That 7 number, did that come from people witnessing cars going down? Like where did that number come from? Or is that just from the sonar hits that you got?
No, that was the initial information that we got as we were arriving on the scene, that number. And that number, again, as I said earlier, has fluctuated, right? That 7 has been a consistent number.
How many agencies are here assisting right now with this
Oh, wow.
recovery?
Yeah, dozens. I mean, locally, fire department wise, Baltimore County's here, Howard County's here, Hartford was here, PG was here, Anne Arundel, of course, Baltimore City. And a lot of those agencies are here by virtue of the fact that they may have specialized equipment that we need during an incident like this. So we're bringing in the equipment specific to the operation right now. And then even law enforcement agencies have a lot of the same marine ops equipment as we do. So given the incident is so big, we try to force multiply and just bring as many resources in as we can so that we can really blanket a large area for a search.
What about the fuel spill? What kind of resources are you bringing in to mitigate that?
We've not been able to confirm that we actually have an active fuel spill from the vessel. We've had odors of diesel fuel. The Maryland Department of the Environment is here, as well as the Coast Guard, so they would take leads on that as well. We hope as the sun comes up a little bit with the air assets that are up to get a much better picture, if we do have a fuel spill, what the impact has been so far.
Talk about the air assets that are up as the daylight comes up. How's that going to impact that with those resources?
Yeah, Maryland State Police has been here. Foxtrot is also working this. There are 2 air resources right now. I don't know that we won't bring any more in, but right now they're the 2 primary. Air reconnaissance on something on the open water is it's an invaluable resource. And we've been very fortunate to have it because as we put people out in the dark on the water to conduct searches, they have that degree of overwatch from those assets. So it's been an invaluable resource for us.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Executive, we're talking about search and rescue. I know that, and that's where the focus is right now. I was awakened with this news. We're all awakened with this news. I've seen the video. What do you make of the totality of this incident? What are you thinking about what you've seen and what this community's experienced now?
Well, this is a tragedy that you can never imagine, right? And I was awake when Chief Wallace called me, but never would you think that you would physically see the Key Bridge tumble down like that. It looked like something out of an action movie. And you just think about, most importantly, which is what we all should be thinking about right now, nothing but those families and people that are impacted, and those people who are risking their lives right now from not just Baltimore City and Baltimore County, but all over this state to try to save lives. That should be our focus, the preservation of life, because no one wants to see that happen, let alone someone in their family, someone that they know be injured in an incident like this.
We'll take 2 more questions.
Your thoughts about what this community is experiencing this morning.
Look, I think that folks are stunned. I think folks are reeling. And I think that's particularly true for people who are worried about their loved ones right now. I think there'll be plenty of time to talk about what this bridge means to the community, what it means for commerce, but at the end of the day, right now this is about the humanity of people who are impacted and the men and women who are out there trying to save lives and recover folks off the bridge. So I think there'll be plenty of opportunity to talk about that, but really right now and for the foreseeable hours ahead, this is really about focusing on the search and rescue efforts. And I want to just again thank the Chief for his leadership and for all of the affiliated partners that we have working on this.
Chief, I know there's like the fact that this could have been intentional, that this could be some kind of act of terrorism or intentionally hitting the bridge.
That's not my focus here, ma'am. That's part of the law enforcement investigations. I would defer to the proper authorities for that.
And Chief, can I ask, we saw something similar to this happen in Philly when 95 came, a portion of that came down. I know you said that you guys have spoken to Secretary of Transportation, I'm assuming Buttigieg. Has he made any comment about the assistance like we saw in Philly being rushed through to get this taken care of?
No, thank you. I spoke with Secretary Buttigieg directly. He and his team said that they're going to obviously work with us throughout this incident and work with not just the city and county, but really the state of Maryland to make sure that we have every resource that he and the federal government can provide.
How long is it going to take to rebuild this, Mayor?
I think right now, sir, listen, we shouldn't even be having that discussion right now. The discussion right now should be about the people, the souls, the lives that we're trying to save. There will be a time to discuss about a bridge and how we get a bridge back up. But right now, there are people in the water that we have to get out, and that's the only thing we should be talking about.
Well,
to go back to the question about the terrorism, there is absolutely no indication that there's any terrorism, that this was done on purpose. Our criminal intel is working with the FBI and other federal and state agencies to get all the intel that we have, but there's absolutely no indication that it was intentional.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, I want to thank you all. I will be advising you, updating you on the next briefing. Took me a couple hours.
Will that be here, Kevin?
you.